guys, the countdown has been taken care of, and a very warm welcome to one and all to Vaidya's Chess Hub. What are we going to do today? Well, the idea is quite simple. We are going to take challenges, that is, I am going to take challenges from the under 1400 players of the hub, and I have had some IDs so far, and we will definitely make sure that we'll start in a minute or so with the first challenger. I told you that we would like to start from the town, I mean at 5:55, from 5:55, 5 minutes earlier than what we normally do. It's just that it helps me towards the end have some time left for maybe one last game. So far we have 5 IDs, and fortunately for me, this Dishane has acknowledged. Now he has understood what acknowledged means. He's acknowledged my message. What is it going to be for the guys who are absolute beginners? Well, for you, the last time I believe we studied the checkmate with the king and the queen versus a lone king, and today we are going to study the checkmate with the king and the rook versus the lone king. Should be interesting. And let's get started by saying hello to our senior. Vihang is here. Hello Vihang, what's up? What are the plans for today? Are there any plans for any tournament at all? This said, I am not going to play with you because you are supposed to be studying with Kashish and other members. The checkmate, the king and the rook checkmate, participate wholeheartedly there. Share your inputs. We don't want a stalemate. Please remember that. No stalemate, please. And the others, the under 1400 guys, have already shared their IDs with me. And I would now like to start with the challenges. Yes, Vihang says as promised he will play in a tournament today. That's a great news. And Yatharth is my first challenger. He was the very first guy to actually type in the ID, and so Yatharth, you have rightfully got the license to play with me first. Now guys who are, well, Radesh has just joined us. By the way guys, the one thing I wanted to say was, I believe new gamers is Radesh, is it not? So Radesh, please go ahead and type your ID, man, and please type it correctly. Please type it correctly. Oh, we don't want any wrong IDs typed. Should I play close? Yeah, I'll play close. Radesh, are you sure that you have typed your ID correctly, my dear? I was talking about the absolute beginners. Yes, we will have the king and the rook versus king position beginning soon, after maybe one game or so. Now that was not such a great move by Yatharth. He just lost the tempo here. This is not going to bother me either. Oh, another piece developed. What was that? May I know the reason? Why did Yatharth just do that? Yatharth, if you are listening to the stream, well, this is not the way to play, my dear. You just took the pawn. There was no need to take the pawn. You could have just dropped the bishop back. And well, this is what we keep saying. When the piece is pinned, you attack it more. And now you have dug a deep hole for yourself. Does that help, sir? Unfortunately, that does. Well, if I take here, he will have to take with the pawn. That's the big thing. Let's calculate this a little bit here. If I take with the knight, he will have to take. If he takes with the rook, then that's it. I'm taking the rook anyway. Yeah, let's do that. Seems to be a good idea. Radesh, Shreyansh is telling you that your ID may be wrong. What's up with that? Okay, and now I guess we have a checkmate threat. That is very difficult to actually stop. Let's see. Now the king has no escape squares. Will he understand that there is checkmate in 2 that I'm threatening here? Oh, he has not understood that. Oh my goodness. This is check and this is going to be mate after the king goes to the only square remaining. Now, everybody who's watching this, so this is what we have to learn, guys. You don't open your... I mean, why do we castle? We castle because we want to keep our king safe in the corner. If you are going to allow, your opponent to pin the knight and then attack it one more time without that light colored bishop being there for double safety, well then this is going to happen. It's no point bringing the rook there on e3 because you would have lost the exchange anyway. But I suppose it was better to lose the exchange because now you are going to simply lose the game. It's just queen g5 check, king h1 and queen g2 is checkmate. By the way, this is for all the guys who are learning. They should know how to use the notation and speak the chess language. What did I just say? Speak the chess language. So queen g5 check, king h1 and queen g2 is checkmate. That's how you should build up your thinking. Very important. Meanwhile, Radesh, I think, has retyped as ID. Let me just go ahead and finish this game. There is absolutely no other move for Yatharth. So I'm going to pre-move that. And checkmate it is. Now, before I move to my next challenger, which is Reyansh, by the way. Now, before I go ahead and do that, let me go ahead and start the thing for the absolute beginners. The checkmate for with the king and the rook versus the king thing. All right, now let's see. We have a position here, and in this position we don't want to push the king unnecessarily because then black king will be able to come back in the game. Here is the thing, if you remember something that I said when we were discussing the king and the queen checkmate, that you don't give unnecessary checks. All the beginners, Dishen, Ayush, Kashish, if he's here, I have not... Did I get a hi sir from Kashish? I wonder. I am saying that you don't have to give unnecessary checks. A big hello to Ayush Tavade. Hi Ayush. You've joined, or rather tuned in at the right time. We are dealing with the king and the rook versus king checkmate. So remember, like we studied when we were dealing with the king and the queen checkmate, we do not have to give unnecessary checks. We do not have to give unnecessary checks. Try to push the king slowly but steadily to the corner and then deliver the checkmate. So remember what I said, some senior, maybe Reyansh, can go ahead and type the things that I just said, okay? So over here in this position, that's it, we don't want to move the king. We can move the rook and then control this part of the board. So if the rook goes to b4, we will be able to control more space. So that's exactly what we do. Black will have no other choice than to play king a6. Now, of course, we don't want to play the rook to b6 because without support, the king will just take the rook. It is now time for us to bring the king for support. Black won't march forward into the corner. Black will say, hey, I can come back. It is here that you must understand not to give unnecessary checks. Remember what I'm saying, guys. Do not give unnecessary checks. We studied that when we were dealing with the queen checkmate. In fact, the only time we gave the check was for the checkmate. So something similar to this. Now you have to put the king still further up the board on c5. Again, black will have no choice but to go to a6. Now it is our opportunity, rightfully, to keep the rook on b6, b5 now, beg your pardon, b5, and then control this part of the board. So that's what we are going to do. Black has no more choice. Now you tell me, is it necessary for us to move the king? No, we don't have to, because again there is an opportunity for our rook to come up the board and control that part of the board. So I'm going to play rook b6. Black has no more moves. He will just have to probably hover between these two squares. King a8, king a7, king a8, king a7. That's it. It is now time for us to push the king. Okay, just bring the king into the party. That's what we are going to do. Black has no choice, as I said. Now, no need to give the check. Remember, we discussed the power of the opposition as well last time. If you remember, this is the power of the opposition. Black has no more choice but to go to a8. And it is here that you just simply deliver the checkmate. That's it. This is checkmate. The king cannot go anywhere because our king controls the squares b8 and b7. And the rook has given a beautiful check. Let's rewind whatever happened here. First move was rook b4. Push the king further. Now, bring the king up. Again, get the opposition. No checks with the rook. Remember, no check with the rook. Yes, keep pushing the king. Keep pushing the king. And then bring the king to deliver the checkmate with the rook. That's going to be the last. So the only check move was the checkmate move. Guys, it's important to remember this. The only check move was the ultimate checkmate move. That's it. That's just brilliant. Let's go back to the challengers now. The next challenger is Reyansh. I hope Reyansh is ready. He was typing it for the beginners. The important information, that is. All right. Reyansh, if you are here, accept the challenge. Although it doesn't, it's a glitch that Leeches has. There is no green dot next to his name, but we are sure he is there because he is there in the chat. And there you go, the game is started. I have white pieces against him. And I'm going to go for maybe the Scotch Gambit. So I'm not going to push c3. I'll take. Now, it's important black capitalizes on the choice he has made. Good opening here. Sort of a Scotch game. Not sort of, this is the Scotch game. Oh, that's what I was about to say. You shouldn't exchange this because then the white queen becomes centralized. You shouldn't exchange on d4 like that. What did I just say? You shouldn't exchange the queen, the knights there and allow the queen on d4 because the queen then gets centralized. Please remember such things. For me, the idea is simple. Now we have to go to, go for the queenside development, maybe even castle queenside, who knows. When the queen gets the lift like that, that's the thing we do often. So now I have a big chance to castle on the queen side. I'm not worried about that pawn. It's abundantly protected by the queen and by the knight. So I'm really not worried about knight f6. Now the main thing here is my opponent's king is in the center and I am not sure where Reyansh wants to put his king. The queen side and the king side. And hey, who knows, you might just want to put the king and let it be in the center. Who knows? Now, he has played c5, which in my opinion is not such a great move. The reason I say that is now I have bishop b5 check, I have queen a5 check, and with a move like c5, I'm sorry to say, but your queen side castling prospects are pretty much over. Yeah, I can say that. Over. So the question really is whether I want to play bishop b5 check or go for queen a5 check. And then Well, let's set a trap for him. Let's do that. The trap is if he blocks it with the queen, then I have bishop b5, and then the queen will be pinned. That's the trap. Ah, rightly done. So he blocked it with the bishop, and I guess it's now time for me to develop a reverse battery. Normally it's the queen that is in the front. Here you have the bishop in the front, so that's a sort of a reverse battery, guys. A reverse battery. That's definitely new for most people here, is it not? A reverse battery, huh? Oh, he is bothered not to do anything there, does not want to exchange. Stunning. I guess now I have a chance here to go for this move, bishop pinning the knight. Yeah, let's go for that. That's good. Bishop pinning the knight. So he must remember that the next plan is to get my knight to d5 and, you know, attack the pin piece more. Fundamentals of chess. Attack the pinned piece more. Dishan has just joined us. He is a senior. Dishan, I think you should be playing tournaments. I wonder, you can consult Vihang on this. Vihang is playing a tournament, Dishan. I'm surprised that you are here. What's up? I'm very, very surprised. By the way, our next opponent is Sagar, and I believe that he is here. Very much so. Meanwhile, we haven't got a move yet from Rayaj, so he's thinking and taking his time, which is a good news. The problems for black here are that his queen is soon going to be an overloaded piece. There you go. I am still going to proceed with my plan knight d5. The logic is queen and the bishop have to protect that knight on f6, but at the same time queen cannot go to f6 without letting go of the support for the bishop on d7. Try to understand what I'm saying here. Very logical here. So I'm still going to continue with the plan of playing the knight to d5. Now this pawn is not hanging because the knight is pinned, and by the way, anyway protected by the queen here on a5. So this knight is attacked twice. Yes, it is defended twice, but the queen has some kind of an overload because my bishop and my queen are also attacking the bishop on d7. A lot to study from this. I'm sure that you're enjoying this, guys. That's why when you play games, build on and confirm and, you know, concretize your fundamentals. So what's the fundamental? The fundamental is that you should not exchange that knight on d4, allowing in a Scotch game, allowing that queen to get centralized on d4. Further, that push of c5 pawn does not help much. Here, of course, I'm going to take with the queen first. Now the problem is the king has to move. Correctly done there. Correctly done there. Yeah, that's nice. Now I can have another trick here. I'm attacking the knight. Yes, he can take with the pawn. Oh, he did not do so. Because he realized that I'm going to take with the knight and there will be a discovered attack on the queen. But hey, I can take with the pawn, and then yes, he can take my bishop. But you know what? I can take with the pawn yet again and give a check. That was quite nasty. And I can then probably go for queen to b3, entertaining. What was that? That was pure time pressure. Let's first do this. I'm in no rush to take this queen. Now I will just safeguard the pawn here because he took it this way. Guys, this is what we talk about, being aware of the situation. I would like to emphasize on this. See, he took it with this, and then there was a discovered attack on the pawn on a2. That would not be checkmate or anything like that, but I'm just saying always be alert of what has happened on the board with every passing move. Okay? Somebody help the new gamer, that's Radesh. The red arrow is with a shift and right click. Radesh, let me help you. Shift and the right click. Shift, press and hold shift, and then you can use the right click to draw the red arrow. Guys, the next challenger we know is Sagar, but before that, time now to go get back to the beginners and show them another beautiful position. So let's build up a new position for them. Now here in this position, you will have to do all the thinking because I've just shown you how this is executed. So now I have set up a new position for you. Is it going to be the green arrow or is it going to be the red arrow? What is the correct move? The beginners, you have to type it here. What is the correct move here for white? The way to go forward. What do you think? So Sagar, let's play a game. All right. Okay, so Sagar, I have black pieces against you. And Ayush Tavade with the right answer, rook g4. I'm so happy. Calculate it further, Ayush Tavade, very nice. So if you play rook g4, what will black play? Continue. Go ahead and do the calculation. Very good. Ayush Chavan has also joined us. Very good. Very nice. Guys, the reason why I have the chat window also on my screen is because, some of you watch this live on your television sets. So that's why if you watch it on your TV set, it's better that you have the chat coming on the screen. That's why I have the chat window open. Now, he's asking a question about this pawn. Defended twice, attacked thrice. I want to go ahead and push this. Now, this becomes a problem for white. Look at that bishop there. The bishop on b3. That's going to be some problem. Okay, do I have answer from Ayush Tavan? Ayush Tavade, yes, rook g4 is correct. What happens after rook g4? Black's move is forced. Go ahead, go ahead. Do some calculation here. What's it going to be? Rook g4, the red camp. And that is 100% correct. Good move here, castling by white. Now a question posed again. The pawn is defended twice, attacked thrice. Let's take the pawn, shall we? Or maybe just wait one more move, because they say, in chess that to take is a mistake or something like that. Let this pawn stay on c4 because the bishop is very ineffective there. You'll have to go back and make it active. That's the way. The beginners, rook g4 is the correct move. I'm saying it again. Rook g4 is the correct move. Ayush Chavan with the correct move. But what is the black's next move? Black's next move is also forced. Go ahead, calculate that. Come on, you can do that. Do that, please. Do we have a move? Yes. The bishop is now moved to a4. The idea is he wants to take that. Okay. And then destroying the defender wants to win my pawn. All right, sir. In that case, let me just take now. Because now if he takes back, he will have double pawns. If he takes here, I would also have double pawns. I guess now it's better to go here. He didn't take my queen. I thought he had exchanged the queens first. He didn't do that. Now he should be mindful of what? I'm attacking this pawn twice and he has it defended once. Okay, I'm going to help the beginners a little bit by telling them that the first move is indeed the rook g4, controlling this part of the board. And now the black's move is forced. There is this king h6. And now you don't push the rook because, hey, the rook will just be taken. So push the king up the board. That's important. Black can come back. And now remember, don't give the check. Take the opposition. Very important. The black king will go up. And now what is the move you think? Come on, guys. Oh, meanwhile, on the board is taken my knight. So I will probably have to make a choice. I want to take with the queen because I don't want the pawns doubled. This somehow looks bad for white. And I'm now ready to bring my rook in the line of attack. Also, the other ideas are b6 and bishop b7. Fianchetto. By the way, when you bring the bishop to the longest square, when you bring the bishop to the longest diagonal, not longest square, longest diagonal, it's called the fianchetto. It's an Italian term. Please remember that. Fianchetto. So what has happened here? Suddenly, bishop has come to g5 and wants to exchange. Do I want to allow that? If I do that, then the knight is going to take it's a tricky situation here. Let's do it anyway. Yeah, let's do it anyway. Because now I'm going to play h6 so that queen h5 is not a checkmate threat anymore. That's the main thing there. And the thing about this is now the knight retreats, followed by our plan which we were going to execute with b6. So what happens with b6 here? The idea is to go bishop b7, that's a fianchetto. And then if the knight moves, whoa, this queen and bishop battery, this is checkmate threat here. Can I go ahead and make this knight move? Oh, he has stopped that himself, but I can do this. Attacking. I could have taken the knight. Oh, I was just hoping he will move the knight for the checkmate. Oh, he could have saved. He could have saved it, guys. And that, by the way, this is checkmate now. Queen g2 was checkmate. Here on this move, I should have just taken the piece. What I played was queen to e4, attacking the hanging pawn. But of course, anyway, the knight was hanging. He could not have played this move because anyway, the knight was hanging. All right. Let's go back to the beginners. Yes, we push the rook. I think you've guessed that, right? This controlling the part of the board further and further. Well, black has no choice just to keep pushing the king. Here again, you have a chance to grab more space on the board with the move rook g6. And finally, when the king is in the corner, start bringing his majesty into the game. Now remember, go for the opposition and finally deliver the checkmate with the king and the rook, making a beautiful pattern. I just love this pattern. By the way, who is up next? After Sagar, now we have Namish. And by the way, yeah, Nilesh Tavade has typed the answer and I'm very happy with his effort. Namish, if you are here, I've issued you a challenge. 3 plus 2, kindly accept it. Monitor has just joined us. I wonder why he is so late. Monitor, explanation. There's a reason why we call you the monitor of the class. You join now, that's not done, man. What's up? Mohit Patil is next. Now, meanwhile, Radesh must be wondering, where is my ID? Well, I missed that. Namish, kindly wait till I make my first move a little bit because I'll just have to cut copy paste Radesh's ID and I hope that today he has typed in correctly. I remember the last time he really messed it up. I remember, and I'm sure you remember. The further thing was that he believed that I didn't copy that correctly. Alright, so the game has started. Namish, I'm going to play the Scotch Gambit. If you take that pawn, which you should by the way. Thoughts? E4, E5, D4 and my opponent's gone into thinking, oh, now when you take with the pawn, this is what happens. Queen takes D8 check, king takes D8 and suddenly you are deprived of the castle rights. Please remember that. Immediately, unfortunately, you're being robbed of your castling rights. I would definitely like to castle queenside here any day. Let's castle. Now this bishop is said to be pinned in chess terminology. The bishop on d7 is absolutely pinned. I'm not worried about this knight move at the moment because my knight on c3 is covering has the pawn on e4 protected, so it's rendering good support, no problem. Of course, now you must sense what my next move is going to be. Let's see you understand that. Oh, he's moved out of the pin that way. Then I can go ahead and move my bishop one more time. And now the big threat is to push the pawn. Knight's already pinned. Do I want to play? I want to put the bishop back. Yes, and now the thing is, can I make a sacrifice for 2 pawns? I am not in a mood to do that just now. So he is rightly pushed the pawn. Otherwise, the threat always was to push the pawn on e5 when the knight was pinned and that would have resulted in a loss of piece. So that was well done by Namish. Although I don't like that move king e7 to get out of the pin. First of all, you got to that position because you played d6. I played d4, you should have taken that pawn. Nonetheless, I'll play bishop c4 and all my minor pieces are into the game. My opponent has not left good squares for his knight on b8. Always observe such things. Now my opponent has his knight on b8, but that knight on b8 really is struggling to find good squares. Point noted. Knight on the rim is dim, they say, so I'm not willing to give up my bishop for the knight. More importantly, if the other knight had no good squares, now the other knight is on the rim. I remember telling you guys this principle in chess. They say the knight on the rim is dim. The senior students should type this in the chat. I repeat the line, knight on the rim is dim. Okay, the knight on the rim is dim. Maybe Rayansh can take that initiative of typing what I'm saying here. Exchange, is that what we want, sir? Well, you really don't want to exchange in such a position. However, he will either capture with the pawn or with the king, and in any case, I'll now have another weakness to attack. So, in a way, you can say I'm happy. In a way, let's go for the bishop exchange. Let's take with the rook, shall we? I have a big chance now to double my rooks on the D file. My opponent thinks otherwise. Look at this mess here. He's cleared that. Very, very good news. And now I can go about doubling my rooks on the D file. This is what you say, guys. Doubling the rooks on the D file. This is how you talk chess. So I will exchange the rooks. The position is turning out to be pretty equal at this point. Oh, he's taken in that way, okay. Now let us see what he does here. Oh, he has fallen for the trap. Always watch the opponent's last move. So this was my threat. My goodness, what do I always tell you? Watch opponent's last move. I simply played my knight from f3 to e5, and then my opponent did not acknowledge the threat. This is a simple fork and I'm winning the rook for nothing. It's a check again. And well, that's not great. Yes, he can have my knight, but I'm going to win a lot of material here. Point to be noted, guys. Always watch the opponent's last move. Point noted, sealed. What's my next threat here? I want to play the rook to d7 check. It's a fork, and I shall win the pawn on b7. a7 is also under threat. How does he defend that? Maybe push the pawn. What does he do? Okay, I guess how about we go for this check and win the pawn? It's as simple as that. Now he has given me this pawn. I'm attacking the knight and I'm still going to win the pawn. Something to be noted here. There is no checkmate, by the way. A couple of knights controlling this. It's not a checkmate. My king can always come up the board. So, okay, now there's knight g2. And, well, there's knight g2. It's taken the pawn, by the way. Who are the next challengers for us? Avadhoot's remaining, Mohit Patel's remaining. It's a check if the king takes it. Okay, I'm going to take the pawn. I can now go for some forced exchanges, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, I can go for some quick exchanges. And now one must remember that I've got huge passed pawns. This pawn is not going to be a botheration because I have a pawn on h2. Nah, actually that doesn't even matter at all. Notice the power of the, oh no. That, now maybe I'll give a demonstration of the rook and king checkmate by virtue of this game. That's awesome. By virtue of this game, I would give a good demonstration of the king and the rook checkmate. Oh, in fact, I don't want to. Do I want to take the pawn? Yeah. The first move for him is to bring the king. Okay, Kashish, Ayush, just remember this is checkmate. The power of the opposition, and you have checkmate. That's just brilliant. Okay, so who is our next challenger? That's Mohit Patil, 123. I hope he is there. Are you still in Bhusawa or have you come back from your native place, Mohit? Big mystery. Nobody seems to be aware of this. What say? I wish to know. What's the case with Mohit? Okay, now before we get to that game, let's quickly go ahead and deal with another position as far as the king and rook checkmate is concerned. This time again, I want you to put some thought into this position, the one that I'm setting up for you right now. It's called passing the move. How to checkmate from this position? It's white to play. The one move you don't want to make is something that I demonstrated when I was teaching you the mate with the queen and the king. Very, very important. So you don't want to play rook b7 here. Finally, we have Mohit. I just thought I lost you, man. He is here. And he's saying that he has come back to Dombivli and then again he is off. Oh, so he's had OMG. He came back and then he left again. What's up, buddy? But good to know that you have quite some decent connection there. Now, thanks to this COVID-19, one thing is for sure, there is no real boundary. We have people from Varda, Kolkata, Canada. Deep joins us from there. We have Alison from UK. By the way, this is now good from Mohit. Remember in this session itself, I told you not to exchange the knight. And Mohit is doing the right thing. Now, by the way, the threat is important to perceive. It's this pawn that is threatened because this knight is pinned. I should be mindful of that. So let me go ahead and counter pin. This is another good strategy. You can respond to attack with an attack. What say, guys? What say? Respond to an attack with an attack. It's important. Always observe opponent's last move. Well, now, does that help? Question, does that help? If I go back, I'm sure that he is more likely to push the pawn just for the sake of winning this. Okay, I have a better idea then. I have a better idea. Why not take the knight first and attack the queen? Play with initiative. Force the opponent to act on your moves first. That's the one I am talking about. Okay, and now we have to make our own decision. Do we want to retreat the bishop, allow g5 and allow him to win the pawn? No, I'm not willing to do that. So I've taken here and maybe now he'll take with the queen. So now again, talking about observing opponent's last moves. Now bishop and queen both are attacking my knight on c3 while the pawn on b2 is the only defender. And therefore, I'm now going to bring the queen up the board to d3. Maybe queenside castling in this game again. That seems to be a great idea. Pooja ma'am has joined us. Hello, Pooja ma'am. Very good evening to you as well. That's the only point why I don't want to do the long castling right now is because my pawn on f2 will be hanging if I castle right away. So let me just push f3 here and now I'm all set to castle on the queen side unless my opponent does something to stop that. Or who knows, maybe I go bishop e2 and castle on the king side just like my opponent has done. This game is in the balance here. The only advantage I think I have is that my opponent has double pawns on the c file. Apart from that, this game looks totally in the balance. The beginners, you have the position on the board. What's up? I'm still waiting for the answer. You don't want to play rook b7. So what do you want to do? Yatharth and Pooja ma'am, you both also, Yatharth is now done with his game. So Yatharth and Pooja ma'am, you don't want to play on the wooden board the move suggested by the yellow arrow, right? Trust me, you don't want that. You don't want to play that move. Yeah, you don't want to play the move indicated by the yellow square and yellow arrow. So, Yatharth, Pooja ma'am, join the gang and tell me, how should white proceed to mate in the position king and rook versus king? You see there on the wooden board there. You can also help. Ayush Chavan and Kashish Shah can help them. Big question now. Mohit wants to. Now, if I take with the queen here, again I'm going to lose the pawn. I'm not prepared to do so, and so I've taken with the king. So maybe I'll go for some kind of an artificial castling where I hide my king after I bring the rook into the game. Oh, that would be fantastic. King c7. That well, that can be a sort of an okay thing to do. The big question now is, what do I want to do with the rooks here? Let's bring the rook in the game. Interested? King c7 looks okay. So let me play king c7, and the only move black has is this. So now what? Okay. Doubling of pawns, is that what you want, sir? So we both will have double pawns on the c file. Looks like. Ayush Tavde, Ayush Chavan, don't worry about playing with me. I think you should be more focused on the checkmate pattern there for you. Now, let's see if Mohit is hasty. Good to note that he is not hasty. That's great news, sir. He is not hasty, and that's tremendous news. Now, my idea is to bring the king up the board and try to go for the weak c7 pawn, and his king seems to be a little too far from that pawn there. A little too far. Why won't the arrow come there? I'm not worried about the rook exchange. I'm not worried about the rook exchange. I'm also not worried about this check. And now let's do this. This is big time. This is nice. Oh, that was bad. He should have played this rook to protect that pawn, because now that allows me this move. And then I can double. Ah, that really hurts. Boy. Mohit did play really well. Super play. Looks like he's struggling for some squares. Now he cannot just keep playing that, because oh, now I have a check and the pawn will promote with that take. Okay. So now I guess I have a check. The rook is pinned. King will move. I'll give a check. Check. check, 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 check. Mind blowing. What's up? No mood to resign. He's in no mood to resign. Now I have an open battlefield. So waiting for that actually. Check. How can I mate him quickly here? Rather than just standard operating procedure. Now that's mate. Okay. So Mohit, you fought well, except for that last bit where you defended it incorrectly with the other rook that allowed me to come to the 7th rank. Don't be timed out, just play the move. You've not resigned, did well. Move is king, you won, yes. Just play that. That's a good job there. And now let me go ahead and show the beginners how the checkmate is done here. The black king has to go to A8. And it is very important here now that you deliver this. Wait a minute. Yeah. The move I was talking about is not king c7. The move I was talking here is king to d7 here. Hang on. Another possibility. No, this one is good. You can go for this move, king to d7. First move for black is king a7. Then bring your king closer to c7. And now black will have to go with the king to a8 and then deliver the checkmate. So this is the move I was talking about. Just for a moment, leave the support, go to d7, allow the black king to attack your rook, then come back on c7 with the support and finally deliver this beautiful checkmate. Guys, this is something nice, very important for you to remember such principles. Avdut, you are up next. And I believe that we have the second last challenger. Avdut, the monitor. Avdut, if you are here. Yes. Ayush, I know, I'm aware that it's you, but for you guys, the idea is the checkmate on the board, the wooden board. The idea isn't to play with me. The idea for you is to focus on the checkmating patterns. Let me go for the Scandinavian setup against Avdut. If he takes, I will take. For the checkmate, guys, let me set up a similar position but on the other side. So let's let us see what you do here. Calculate correctly with the correct notation and stuff. Okay, so let me take on c3 here. Avdut did not take with the d pawn because I would have exchanged the queens. I think he was very sure I would do that. And wow, this is a very nice idea. I like this. This idea has been tried a lot. The bishop will now take on f8, and I have to decide whether to take with the rook or with the king. And I like this idea. Let me be honest here. I like this idea. That's it. He's done that. That means this game is going to be very interesting. Wow, man, that is something damn interesting here. King F8. Let's go ahead and pin the knight. And always remember, attack the pinned piece more. The principle in chess. Attack the pinned piece more. I'm surprised how Avdut forgot this. There is no point actually attacking the bishop now at this point. I'll tell you why. I'm going to take this and he will have to take, and I will take back again, and the unfortunate thing, oh, seriously, I don't even need to take, I can just go back. He will have to push here. Disaster, right? Yeah. I wonder if I would have taken on f3, then there was h takes. I can't believe what he's doing. Even now, he does not want to push the pawn. That knight even isn't pinned. You pushed my king to f8. Remember, what's up? What is Avadut thinking here? I wonder. So now I'm going to take with a pawn for sure. The big thing here is now even when he takes with this bishop, I can take with the knight and he still cannot take it with the queen. He'll be lost. That is the sad part about it. And now I can give a check here. By all means. Suddenly the king is now all out into the open. And now I can give him a check yet again, attacking this pawn twice and defended once. So the move for him is going to be king g2. Will he find that? No, oh come on. Oh come on. He should have found that move. Avdut, if you're listening to this, man, that was not so tough to see. He should have played king g2. Ayush, it's not about playing a game with me. It is not about playing a game with me. It's mate in 2 now, by the way. Queen to g5 check. The first move will be king to g2. Sorry, h2, I beg your pardon. And then queen g2 is checkmate. Let me come on the main cam to share something with Ayush Taude. It is not about playing a game with me. Rest assured, you're doing well. We will play. Not today, but we will play. At the moment, there are plans that I have for you guys. Just focus on the plan. Okay? Swaroop is here and Swaroop is saying, hello Swaroop by the way, and he's saying that I watched the checkmate pattern 7. Wonderful lecture by Omkar sir. I'm sure that Swaroop you loved the way he explained the difference between the Mayat mate and the opera mate. Oh, misclicked the king move. Okay. So that's called a mouse slip by the way. That is called a mouse slip. Very quickly, let's play a game with Radhesh. I'm sure that we have his ID correctly here. This is going to be the last game, and for the guys who are dealing with the checkmate position on the wooden board, that position will be for your homework. Or maybe after the video, post this as a comment. You can definitely do that. Okay. Yes, it was a good game, Avdut. except for that mouse click that you say that cost you the game. I have black pieces against Radhesh. Let's see what he's going to play. You cannot take that long, Radhesh. You always take that long to start, and I don't know why. I've observed this with you. Finally, there is a move, and I would like to play d4, d5 here. He is a player who plays with some speed. Don't know why, but he does that. I'm going to play the regular setup here. The regular setup is with the diamond formation. Oh, I should have played bishop b4. Could have done that, right? I can do that now. I wasted a move. Unfortunately, I should have played bishop b4 right away. I should have played that. Okay, now, so many times in today's lecture I've highlighted this. So many times. What have I highlighted so many times, guys? Attack the pin piece mover. My knight is beautifully positioned here, which means that now I can give a check. See how you allow the pin piece to be attacked more than once, and that becomes a huge problem. I can go to a5 with multiple targets because my knight's also attacking the c3 pawn. That's the way to proceed. Swaroop, I wonder whether you also heard it properly. I was talking to you about your checkmate pattern 7 comments. He explained very beautifully the difference between the Mayet's mate and the opera mate, where they look the same with the rook and the bishop pattern, but they are really not the same. They're not really the same. Now, the beauty about this position that you have here is that it's too difficult to defend. For example, even if you play rook to d3 to bring in another, oh, he has not done any of that. Now, isn't that just checkmate? Now, let's calculate this. Guys, enjoy the bit of calculation coming your way now. Now, let's calculate this and end the session with a great finish. Let's do that. Let's calculate this. We have queen a3 check. Opponent cannot go to this square because the knight has it covered. Let me not use the blue. So the opponent will have to play the king to b1. Then we have the knight takes c3 check, and he will have to give the queen. Why did I select the blue there? Then if he goes to a1, there is simply queen takes a2 checkmate, and if the queen takes, well, then I just get the queen. The game's pretty much over there. Let's see what he does. At the moment, there is no doubt that the move is forced. So at the moment, I can almost make a pre-move here. I have made a pre-move. By the way, only make a pre-move if your opponent's move is forced or it's your piece taking your piece kind of a pre-move. Man, these are golden principles I'm sharing, because sometimes when you make the pre-move, it may work against you. So remember. And what is a pre-move? Just the highlight, the squares that you see there. I've already told the computer that my next move is knight takes c3. Disan with a declaration. He won against a 1900 plus player. Students are making good progress. It's duly noted. And now look for what I am saying here. I am going to click on queen, my own queen taking my own knight. Those are okay pre-moves, because that means that if your opponent takes, only then it can be executed, which has gotten executed, by the way. Okay, so now it is time for us to maybe kick the knight out first. Let's play with some initiative. Let's do that. I can give a check here and the knight is still hanging. That's why never leave your pieces hanging like that. See, a simple check and now even the knight's going to be lost. This pawn actually can be pushed. I have queen to b4 check. I so wish this rook could have come quicker in the game. I have this pawn to take also, by the way. This bishop is pinned for the moment. I'll take the rook. 10 seconds. All the games have been good. The theme to highlight is attack the pinned piece more. Let's not take here for a change. I don't want to take. All right. What a big thing to learn today. The juniors learned the checkmate with the king and rook against king. The under 1400 guys playing games, they learned what it is to attack the pin piece more, watch the opponent's last move, and also in a Scotch game, don't exchange the knights early and allow the queen to be centralized on d4. Mohit played a very good game, except that ending very blundered with the wrong rook support. Otherwise, he was playing well. Enjoyed bringing this session to you. Thank you so much, guys, and all the best for the tournament on Monday. We will meet again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.